Blackface is wrong, it's racist, you cannot do it, okay? Under no circumstances, cannot do it. Then you see them Navy SEALs commercials, you're like, all right, well, kind of, sometimes you could do it, right? The whole Navy SEALs commercial is like, look how cool blackface is on a helicopter. Look how cool blackface is on a boat. Blackface in the water, they can swim. I don't know if they say that. I don't know if they say that. I might have added that part. I might have added that part. That's on me.
That was Andrew Schulz. He's a comedian and podcaster who ain't afraid to speak his mind or be politically incorrect. A friend of mine always sends me clips and jokingly asks, how come he hasn't been canceled yet? Maybe it's because he's funny, or maybe it's because the cancel culture vultures are losing a bit of the power they once held. Either way, it's refreshing. In this video, on this holiday, I want to talk about something he said on the Brilliant Idiots podcast he does with Leonard McKelvey, better known as Charlemagne the God, the host of the popular radio show, The Breakfast Club.
I'm making the argument
that all black people are from Africa.
No.
You just said that.
The oppressive term,
yes.
Okay? African American is in some ways oppressive because it acts as if the black people that are in America, right, aren't just Americans. They're from Africa. Asian Americans, African Americans. Why is it the white people just get to be American and then all these other people are Mexican American, Asian American, whatever?
On the podcast, Andrew was trying to make 2 points. The first point wasn't in that clip because it took him way too long to make it. But it was this. Why is it that black people call themselves African American when it's obvious to see that their ancestors came from Africa? And that if anyone should hyphenate American, it should be white people because their family could be from Russia or Australia or Argentina or Syria. And that's an interesting point, but falls short of any understanding of why black people started using the term African American, which we'll talk about in a moment. The point he made in the clip was that the term African American is oppressive because it makes black people something other than just Americans. White people get to be American, and black people are not fully American. They're African American. I agree. I think it's burdensome for black people. The term kind of forces a black person to be different. I'm not like you. I'm not a regular American. I'm different. I'm an African American. To understand why it's used so commonly today, let's turn to the words of Jesse Jackson, who popularized the term and even held a press conference in 1988 to announce that black people want to be called African American. Just as we were called colored, but we're not that. Then Negro, but not that. To be called black is just as baseless. To be called African Americans has cultural integrity. It puts us in our proper historical context. Every ethnic group in this country has a reference to some land base, some historical cultural base. African Americans have hit that level of cultural maturity. Okay. So Jackson told us that calling black people African Americans has cultural integrity. While it might somewhat achieve that goal, I think it's problematic. I believe the term African American is used to distance them from white Americans. It draws a line that's becoming increasingly harder to step over, and it makes people easier to control, because it gives power to the thought leaders, for them to decide what is acceptable for the rest of us. A white person wears cornrows? That's appropriating African American culture. You're hurting the cultural integrity of the African American people. Haven't they suffered enough? Oh, you're dating a white girl? Don't you have any respect for your African American culture? Come on, dude. You're a white guy. What makes you think you're allowed to have an opinion on African American issues? You see, that label makes it easier for you to be controlled. But now drop African and just use American. You're a white person. What makes you think you're allowed to have an opinion on American culture? Doesn't sound so bad anymore, does it? And that's the truth. African American culture is just American culture. The blues are American culture just like skateboarding is. The fact that I'm much better at playing blues music than skateboarding is okay. I'm not appropriating black culture for playing the blues, and Lil Wayne ain't appropriating white culture for doing a frontside 180 ollie down 7 stairs. We like what we like, and it shouldn't matter if the first to do it was white, black, or whatever. The idea that I could somehow take credit for skateboarding because of my skin color is nonsensical. I'm an American and skateboarding is a part of my American culture, but it's not mine. And if you're black, the blues aren't yours, but it is a part of your American culture. It's a part of our American culture. Now, I want to go back to something else Jesse said in that 36-year-old announcement, that every ethnic group in America has a reference to some land base or some historical cultural base. While that's a true statement, do they all use it when they talk about themselves? I have never once referenced my German American culture or my Anglo-American culture. I don't even feel it's necessary to refer to American culture as my culture. I've done very little to shape American culture, and I don't feel any ownership toward it. I'm a product of American culture, but it's not something I can take credit for or deny someone else from somehow using or sharing in it. But I love being an American. I love the Constitution. I love individualism. And I love what we stand for on paper. Look, if you're a person who feels the need to set yourself apart from just being an American, then you should expect to be treated differently. You're actually asking to be treated differently, and you're choosing to have less in common with your fellow Americans. And I don't think that was a part of MLK's dream. Not to mention that if your great-great-great-great-grandfather was brought to America on one of those terrible boats, as Smokey Robinson so eloquently said, your family earned the right to be called American American. And that's the simple truth. Now let's watch Smokey Robinson perform his poem, Black American, and hear what he had to say on this topic. Enjoy.
I love being black. I love being called black. I love being an American. I love being a black American. But as a black man in this country, I think it's a shame that every few years we get a change of name. Since those first ships arrived here from Africa that came across the sea, there were already black men in this country who were free. And as for those who came over on those terrible boats, they were called nigger and slave and told what to do and how to behave. And then Master started tripping, doing his midnight tipping down to the slave shacks where he forced he and great-great-grandma to be together. And if great-great-grandpa protested, he got tarred and feathered. And at the same time, the black men in the country who were free were mating with the tribes like the Apache and the Cherokee. And as a result of all that, we're a parade of every shade. And at this late day and age, you can be sure there ain't too many of us in this country whose bloodline is pure. But according to a geographical genealogy study published in Time magazine, the black African people were the first on the scene. So for what it's worth, the black African people were the first on earth, and through migration our characteristics started to change and rearrange to adapt to whatever climate we migrated to. And that's how I became me and you became you. So if we're going to go back, let's go all the way back. And if Adam was black and Eve was black, then that kind of makes it a natural fact that everybody in America is an African American. Everybody in Europe is an African European. Everybody in the Orient is an African Asian, and so on and so on. That is, if the origin of man is what we're going to go on. And if one drop of black blood makes you black like they say, then everybody's black anyway. So quit trying to change my identity. I'm already who I was meant to be. I'm a black American born and raised. And Brother James Brown wrote a wonderful phrase. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Because I'm proud to be black. And I ain't never lived in Africa. And because my great-great-granddaddy on my daddy's side did, don't mean I want to go back. Now, I have nothing against Africa. It's where some of the most beautiful places and people in the world are found. But I've been blessed to go a lot of places in this world. And if you ask me where I choose to live, I pick America, hands down. Now, by and by, we were called Negroes. And after a while, that name was banished. Anyway, Negro is just how you say black in Spanish. Then we were called colored, which everybody's one color or another, and I think it's a shame that we hold that against each other. And it seems like we reverted back to a time when being called black was an insult, even if it was another black man who said that a fight would result, because we've been so brainwashed that black was wrong till even the yellow niggas and the black niggas couldn't get along. But then came the 1960s, when we struggled and died to be called equal and black, and we walked with pride with our heads held high and our shoulders pushed back, and black was beautiful. But I guess that wasn't good enough, because now here they come with some other stuff. Who comes up with this shit anyway? Was it one or a group of niggas just sitting around one day? feeling a little insecure again about being called black and decided that African American sounded a little more exotic. Well, I think you were being a little more neurotic. It's that same mentality that got Amos and Andy put off the air because they were embarrassed about the way the characters spoke. And as a result of that action, a lot of wonderful black actors ended up broke. When we were just laughing and having fun about ourselves. So I say, you if you can't take a joke. You didn't see the Beverly Hillbillies being protested by white folks. And if you think that, cause you think that being called African American sets all black people's minds at ease, since we affectionately call each other nigger, I affectionately say to you, nigga, please. How come I didn't get a chance to vote on who I'd like to be? Who gave you the right to make that decision for me? I ain't under your rule or in your dominion, and I'm entitled to my own opinion. Now, there are some African Americans here, but they recently moved here from places like Kenya, Ethiopia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Zaire. But not a brother whose family's lived in this country for generations, occupying space in all the locations, New York, Miami, LA, Detroit, Chicago, even if he's wearing a dashiki and sporting an afro. And if you go to Africa in search of your race, you'll find out quick, you're not an African American. You're just a black American in Africa taking up space. Why you keep trying to attach yourself to a continent where even if you got the chance to go and you went, most people there wouldn't even claim you as one of them, as a purebred daughter or son of them. Your heritage is right here now, no matter what you call yourself or what you say. And a lot of people died to make it that way. And if you think America's the leader on inequality and suffering and grieving, how come there's so many people coming and so few leaving? Rather than all this fine thought with America shit you promoting, if you want to change something, use your privilege. Get to the polls, come and voting. God knows we've earned the right to be called American Americans and be free at last. And rather than you moving forward with progress, you're dwelling in the past. We struggled too long, we've come too far. Instead of focusing on who we were, let's be proud of who we are. We're the only people whose name is always a trend. When is this going to end? Look at all the different colors of our skin. Black is not our color, it's our core. It's what we've been living and fighting and dying for. But if you choose to be called African American and that's your preference, then I'll give you that reference. But I know on this issue I don't stand alone on my own. And if I do, then let me be me. And I'd appreciate it if when you see me, you say, there goes a man who says it loud. I'm black. I'm black. I'm a black American, and I'm proud. Because I love being an American. And I love being black. I love being called black. Yeah, I said it. And I don't take it back.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. And if you all want to support this channel, check out the links in the description, and let's keep putting some common sense back into the great debate.